What is going on, Dolphins fans? Jacob here, Miami Dolphins Syndicate. Before we get into things, I hope everybody listening in had themselves a very Merry Christmas. I did with some family and my girlfriend up in Lake Worth, and Donovan did over in the Tampa area. So we are back here today, and we're back to talk about the rest of the season for the Miami Dolphins. We've been breaking down over the last few weeks what it will take for the Miami Dolphins to make the playoffs, and they certainly made their lives a little bit more difficult by losing on Thanksgiving and then losing against the Texans. But there is a still slim chance that the Dolphins can make the playoffs, and it is a very simple, concise breakdown as to what needs to happen for the Miami Dolphins to make the playoffs. So at this point last year, the Miami Dolphins were already in the playoffs after beating the Dallas Cowboys on a game-winning kick. The Miami Dolphins this year will need a lot more help. So at this point in the season, 2 weeks left to go, the Dolphins with 2 games left in the season, they have to win out. There is no if, ands, buts. The Miami Dolphins have to win every single game, both games, in order to make the playoffs. That starts obviously this week with the Cleveland Browns and finishes off next week with the New York Jets up in New York. 2 games that on paper the Miami Dolphins should win. This Cleveland team has been struggling. They go to DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and things did not change last week against the Bengals. They had some brief bright spots. This team is still fighting, but there's not a lot of talent on this team, and a team that is probably going to look a lot different next season, whether it's coach, for their sake, hopefully it's quarterback. But right now, this Browns team, one of the worst teams in the league. And then there's the Jets, who just a few weeks ago took the Dolphins to overtime. The Dolphins should be favored in that game, but this is a Jets team right now that is clicking. Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers are looking really good together. The Jets, even though they don't have anything to fight for, it is a divisional game with potentially the opportunity to kick the Dolphins out of the playoffs. So I do expect to get the best from the Jets. Those are the 2 games the Dolphins have coming up. 2 games that the Dolphins should be favored in, but 2 games that Dolphins obviously can't take lightly, as these are 100% must-win games for the Dolphins. Beyond our own performance, there are only 2 teams that affect the Dolphins that we need to see lose games. Currently behind us, tied on record behind us in the standings, are the Cincinnati Bengals. And while they are tied on record, the Miami Dolphins do hold the tiebreaker over the Bengals. So regardless if the Bengals win out, doesn't matter. Whatever happens with Cincinnati cannot affect the Dolphins. They need us to lose, as well as the 2 teams ahead of us. The 2 teams ahead of us are one of which we've already played this season, and how pivotal that game now looking back at it could be. That is the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts have to lose one of the remaining games. This week they have the Giants coming up, and next week they have the Jaguars coming up. So 2 games the Colts will be favored in, 2 teams with backup quarterbacks. The Giants, of course, which will be going with a new quarterback next year, a very young team and not a lot of talent on it. And then the Jaguars, who are going to be without Trevor Lawrence for the rest of the season. Mac Jones has played decent football. Brian Thomas Jr. is an incredible wide receiver. However, 2 not very good teams. The Colts have to lose at least one of the games. If they lose 2, cool, but that 1 game is very important. And this upcoming week, they might be without Anthony Richardson, as he does have a couple different injuries that he's currently dealing with. So the Indianapolis Colts, a team obviously the Dolphins lost to earlier this season without Tua in the lineup, a team that we have to see lose one of their 2 remaining games. And then comes the more difficult part of the Denver Broncos losing both their 2 games, or the Los Angeles Chargers losing both of their 2 games. When I said there's 2 teams ahead of us that matter, I meant 2 situations. There's obviously the Colts that have to lose at least 1 game, or the Broncos losing both of theirs and the Chargers losing both of theirs. First, we'll start off with the Denver Broncos, who do have a more difficult schedule going towards the end of the season. Next week, or this upcoming week, they will have to play against the Cincinnati Bengals, who I did just mention are still in playoff contention, and they have to have things go right for them to win. But it doesn't matter whether they win this game just in terms of them disrupting us getting to the playoffs. We have to see the Cincinnati Bengals win this game coming up this week. They still have a whole lot to play for. They have a chance at the playoffs, so you're going to get your best from that Cincinnati Bengals team, a team that hasn't looked good this year on the defensive side of the ball, but can put up points with anybody in the league. And then the final game for the Denver Broncos did just get a little bit murkier for the Miami Dolphins. It is going to be against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs, if they had lost on Christmas yesterday, they would still have to fight probably for the number 1 seed, as if the Bills win this upcoming week, that game would still matter next week. The Chiefs would have to win that to clinch themselves as the number 1 seed. But now the Chiefs are officially the number 1 seed in the AFC. So there's a solid chance we might not see the likes of Patrick Mahomes. An injured Chris Jones is probably going to get the week off. You look across the receiving core, Hollywood Brown just came back, so maybe they'll want to get him some reps. But a lot of the better players on the Kansas City Chiefs might end up sitting that game, which does make things more annoying for the Dolphins, as we do need the Broncos to lose both of those games. The Chargers, probably not going to lose both of their games. Let's just be completely honest with ourselves. They have to win one game of their locks into the playoffs, and those two games are going to be going against the Patriots and the Raiders, two teams that are very much in number one pick territory. So I don't think they're going to lose those two games. It's possible, however, very unlikely. Those are the situations we need. That is the scenario we need for the Miami Dolphins to make the playoffs. Broncos lose 2 games or Chargers lose 2 games. Colts lose 1 game and Dolphins win out. It is very simple. All the Dolphins can do is win their games. You don't want to scoreboard watch while you're in the midst of trying to put out your best effort on the field, but I can't help but think the Dolphins will probably be doing a little bit of that, as they know what they need to get into the playoffs. 2 losses from the Chargers and Broncos, and 1 Colts loss against a Giants team or a Jags team that are both struggling. That is it. That's all the Dolphins need. As long as they win their 2 games, they are in the playoffs. As hard as it is to believe, I think we've made multiple videos so far this season with the title saying this season is over. It's not officially over, and even if the Dolphins do make the playoffs, probably not going to do a whole lot there, but Dolphins have a chance. They have a chance at the playoffs, and that's all you can hope for at this point in the season, especially with how challenging and difficult of a season we have had. So let me know down below in the comments, do you think the Dolphins have a chance of making the playoffs? Do you think any of these scenarios will play out? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Go check out Green Gridiron. Go get yourself one of these beautiful replica helmets. Thank y'all very much for watching. We will see y'all tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Go Dolphins.